The Year to Their podcast, it's time to start the show. Be sure to hold on tight, here we go. Exploring all the different Disney destinations. Year to Their, it's time to start the fun.
Hey there, welcome to the Ear to There podcast, Walt Disney World Word of the Week. I am your host, Phil Groundlick, and each and every week I will bring you a different Walt Disney World word, and then I'll give you some information, some background, some hints, some tricks, some tips about that Walt Disney World word. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This week's Walt Disney World word is brought to you by the letter L. Okay, maybe I should have said Walt Disney World words because I'm talking about Liberty Square. So this week I want to take a look back at the history of Liberty Square. We'll talk about what makes up that land today, and we'll talk a little bit about what could happen there in the future. So first, let's talk about the history, right? And Liberty Square, like so many things in Magic Kingdom and in Walt Disney World in general, has its origins in Disneyland. As a matter of fact, back in the day, I believe it was a Monday, Disneyland and the higher-ups at Disneyland had planned on having several other streets coming off of their original Main Street USA. Now, these streets included Chinatown, International Street, Edison Square, and Liberty Street. So, as all of us know by now, a good idea in a Disney company never actually dies, right? It stays, it's put in a file somewhere, it's locked away for years, but eventually they come to see the light of day. I mean, look, Edison Square never happened in Disneyland, but we do have elements of that coming to Disney Springs in the future. International Street never opened in Disneyland right off of Main Street, but hey, now us Walt Disney World fans have World Showcase at Epcot to show for it. And even though construction walls were actually built and signs were actually put in place for Liberty Street in Disneyland, we all know that never happened. But, as we said, good ideas never die, and eventually us Walt Disney World fans received Liberty Square in the Magic Kingdom. The Liberty Square that we know and loved opened along with the rest of the Magic Kingdom on October 1st, 1971. And really amazingly, since 1971, the smallest land in the Magic Kingdom has been left fairly untouched and has only received small makeovers. When you cross over the bridge from the hub and into Liberty Square, you are entering colonial America. Not long after you enter Liberty Square from the central hub, look to your left and you'll actually see the Liberty Tree. The Liberty Tree's name comes from the 1957 Disney movie Johnny Tremaine, and at 38 tons, this tree is the largest living thing in all of the Magic Kingdom. On the tree are 13 lanterns that represent the original 13 colonies of America. Now, really close by to that Liberty Tree is the actual replica of the Liberty Bell. Magic Kingdom's version of the Liberty Bell is actually a replica of the real Liberty Bell that was made from the cast where the original Liberty Bell was created. In 1976, for the United States bicentennial, 50 replicas of the Liberty Bell were made from that original cast. In the 80s, Walt Disney World contacted Pennsylvania, my home state by the way, and asked if they could have the copy of the Liberty Bell for the Magic Kingdom. And in 1989, that Liberty Bell was installed in Liberty Square, where it's been ever since. Now, as you walk through Liberty Square, you're going to see a lot of detail that's completely authentic to colonial America. One thing you can look for is the leather hinges on the shutters on all the buildings in Liberty Square. The metal hinges for those shutters would have been taken and melted down as part of the war effort, obviously, that was going on in colonial America. So they replaced them with those leather hinges, which is why none of the shutters in Liberty Square seem to be hanging correctly. Also, check out that brown path, that brown trail that runs through the streets of Liberty Square. I've written about this in a blog, and I'm sure you may have come across this in reading about Liberty Square, but if you don't know what that brown trail is supposed to represent, I'll explain it to you now. In colonial America, there was no sewage system. It's not like you could go outside and find a porta potty somewhere to use. So the citizens of the colonial cities would empty their waste, shall we say, into the street. Yeah, that's what that brown trail is representing throughout Liberty Square. Liberty Square is currently the home of four, yes, four attractions. The Hall of Presidents, which really needs no introduction. It's a very, well, I don't want to say popular show, but it's a good show, and you should check it out if you're into Magic Kingdom. The Haunted Mansion, the iconic Haunted Mansion. The Liberty Square Riverboat, which if you haven't ridden in a while, is you get a lot of really cool, really different sight lines, a lot of really cool photo opportunities if you're good with your camera. So ride that one. And the all-new Muppets Present Great Moments in American History. So you will be pretty entertained if you're heading through Liberty Square. It's also the home of a couple former attractions, the Admiral Joe Fowler Riverboat, which was one of the original riverboats that circled Tom Sawyer Island in Liberty Square, and the Mike Fink keelboats, which I talked about in last week's Word of the Week, which were decommissioned in 2001. There are also 3 restaurants inside Liberty Square. The Columbia Harbor House, rest in peace, my New England clam chowder in a bread bowl. I always used to get that. I was so bummed when they took it off the menu. The Liberty Tree Tavern, where my wife Amy used to work on our college program in 1998. If you were there in 1998, she was a hostess. She was one of the ones that wore the colonial garb and was standing outside in the million-degree weather trying to get you to come inside and eat there. And Sleepy Hollow Refreshments, which has just brought back one of my favorite things on the planet, the spicy chicken waffle sandwich. So, as I said a couple weeks ago in the podcast, yes, or last week in the podcast, yes, it's more expensive. Yes, the chicken that they give you is now smaller. Yeah, I still think it's worth it. It's an excellent sandwich. So, you should probably try to get that. Also in Liberty Square, there are 4 shops. There are currently the Heritage House, the Liberty Square Portrait Gallery, Memento Mori, which I think I pronounced that right, is a haunted mansion kind of themed store these days. And the Ye Olde Christmas Shop, the very popular Ye Olde Christmas Shop, where I know so many guests, myself included, get a Christmas decoration every year when they go to the parks. So that is the current state of Liberty Square. And yes, I did say I was going to talk a little bit about the future of Liberty Square. Well, really, there's only one confirmed, or at least speculated change that I know of coming to Liberty Square fairly soon. And that will be that once a new president is elected very soon, that president will be in Liberty Square, assuming there's not a riot either way. And lastly, I want to give you my favorite fun fact about Liberty Square. Technically, because it's colonial America and there was no indoor plumbing in colonial America, there are no bathrooms, there's no restrooms inside Liberty Square. So technically there are restrooms, I believe, in Columbia Harbor House, but apparently they are on the Fantasyland side of the restaurant. So if you are in Liberty Square and you're with your kids, or you just have to really go, you better start running, get over to Fantasyland, get over to Adventureland, or get over to Frontierland very quickly. And that is going to do it for this week's Walt Disney World Word of the Week. As always, thank you so much for listening. It's always greatly appreciated. I really hope you like this week's episode about Liberty Square. I love that land in the Magic Kingdom. There's something about the music, the background music, the just walking through there with the buildings, and it kind of feels like home to me. I don't know if it's because I'm from Philadelphia and it reminds me of the old city area of my city when I'm in Liberty Square, but I just love that land in the park. So again, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, if you enjoy any of these episodes, all I usually really ask is that you tell somebody about it. This week, tell your history teacher if you're a student because, hey, history teachers love Liberty Square. Tell your teacher, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your principal when they request that your vacation be an educational vacation. I'm hearing that now, having a child in kindergarten. Send them a note and say, hey, look, I went to Liberty Square. I learned all about America from the Muppets. So it was a completely educational vacation. I mean, seriously, who is more educational than Sam the Eagle from the Muppets? I don't think anyone, honestly. So thank you so much in advance for sharing the episode. Thank you for listening. And remember, there will be a new episode of the Word of the Week podcast each and every Wednesday morning, as well as a regular Ear to Their podcast episode each and every Monday morning. So until next time, have a great week. Bye-bye.